welcome to Dracon's Plays Dark Souls Remastered. It's here. Anyways, few things. So this is not going to be well, let me actually start from the top. So, if you have not played or seen a playthrough of Dark Souls 1, either go and play it yourself or go and watch a blind playthrough of it. This game is best experienced blind. And we are playing in offline mode. Should be noted. Anyways. So yeah, this game is best experienced blind. Now, like I said, either play it yourself or watch a blind playthrough. I have a blind playthrough of Dark Souls 1 on the channel. It'll be on the end slate of this video, and it'll be in the description. So check out that or play it yourself. Do not watch the rest of it, because full spoiler mode will be... there's going to be just tons of spoilers, because I'm assuming you already know about this game. That being said, this is going to be an in-depth playthrough. We're not going to go super far into the lore or anything like that, although it will be discussed a bit. But one of the main things I actually want to talk about is game design, which is something that I am really, really interested in. And technically I went to school a little bit for anyways. But, so that's what the focus of this playthrough is going to be, is, like, game design, how game mechanics work, how different parts of the game was, like, put together, why they chose one thing, or reasons why they might have chosen one method over another. There'll be some discussion of cut content, because that also plays a role in game design. Yeah, like I said, a little bit of lore, not super in-depth, but lore and world building is another important part of game design, so that is going to come into play a bit. Let's see. Before I get into this, I'll quickly talk about my experience with the Souls series. So, I watched playthroughs on YouTube of Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2. That experience, watching those playthroughs and seeing the Let's Players get super excited about it, got me interested in the series. So I bought Bloodborne at that point. And I tried Bloodborne. I did 2-3 hours of it. And didn't make it past the opening area. Like, I didn't even... If you know Bloodborne, you have, like, the opening square and there's, like, 15 guys through there. I did not make it past them in the first 2-3 hours I tried touching it. I put it down for about a month. I came back and I beat all of Bloodborne. And, yeah. A little bit after that, I played through Dark Souls 2, and I can't remember exactly how the time frame of it worked, but right around there, I played Bloodborne for the channel. So, the Bloodborne series that's on the channel is a super early playthrough of a Souls game for me. Now, all this was before the release of Dark Souls 3. Now, leading up to that release, and this all took place, like, beginning of 2016, I think it was. Before Dark Souls 3 released, I started Demon Souls, realized it was not connected to the Dark Souls series at all, not super obvious to someone who's never touched these things before, and I hadn't really looked at much lore or anything at that point. I found out a little bit in that it was not connected, and then I did the blind Let's Play of Dark Souls 1. I finished it the day before Dark Souls 3 launched. I then played Dark Souls 3 blind. Both of those are series on the channel. Interestingly enough, Dark Souls 3 went up before 1. So, anyways, I played through all of 3 blind for the channel. Then I went back, played the Dark Souls 1 DLC blind after Dark Souls 3. I then played, the Dark Souls 3 Ashes Variandel DLC, blind as a series on the channel. I did a Dark Souls 2 series on the channel around that time. Then I did the Dark Souls 3 DLC, Ring City, and finally I did Demon Souls as a channel in the series. Or, series on the channel. There we go. Now, interspersed through this entire thing, I did a few other playthroughs of, like, Bloodborne, in Dark Souls 2. When I replayed, well, I had to replay all of Dark Souls 1 to do the DLC. And, yeah. After I had done all of the series on the channel, I did Soul Level 1 runs of Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. I've not done anything like that for Demons or Bloodborne. I did a couple of, just on my personal time, just few, like, speed runs of Dark Souls 1. Not amazing times. I think my best one was sub 3 hours, which, I'm not the best Souls player, so I'm pretty happy with that. I wasn't trying to beat the world record or anything. But I played through each game few times. I don't have any idea how many hours I put into each one. Dark Souls 1 might have the most, or 3. Once again, I'm not sure. Yeah, so there's a second Dark Souls 1 series on the channel. It's a challenge run themed off the Legend of Zelda. There's a Dark Souls 3 challenge run, which I did recently, which was a limited Bonfire warping playthrough. Yeah, and like I said, just general, I played through each game a bunch. I haven't 100%ed, like, all of them trophy-wise, because some of them, I'm not gonna sit there and grind stuff for, like, 10 hours. Bloodborne, I platinumed, though, because that one did not rely on any of that. Now, I have done a lot of talking, and we haven't even booted up the game yet. So let's get into it, then. Alright. So, yeah. For me, that's actually pretty good. I don't know what it's like for you guys. I might manually adjust the brightness on the series, because this one means a lot to me, so I want to make sure I get it right. Turn off those. These are super bad and mess with your camera control. I recommend turning those off. Let's see. So this is a brand new option, UI scale. This is something brand new that they introduced in the remaster. I'm probably going to mess around with that a bit, but I need to actually be in-game and have a UI to scale. Alright. Bump up voices. Alright, that looks good. Okay, let's see. So, in the remaster, they actually let you remap all button inputs. That being said, well, almost all button inputs. There's some of them that are just, like, hard locked in. Where the heck is it? Alright. Where is it? Oh, it's on this screen further down. So, I am going to remap jump to L3. Because L3 jumping is, objectively better than circle jumping. Yes, please. Alright, now, I've done some thinking about, all of this stuff, and I've decided, even though I did it for the blind playthrough, I am going to play as myself for an in-depth playthrough like this, because, honestly, nothing else really makes as much sense. Now, few things about the plans for this character. So, I am going to be switching up weapons, every, like, couple of episodes. So, my weapons and armor layout is going to be switching a lot. And based off of... So, I don't have the entire thing, like, mapped out yet, Some of it I'm just going to feel out as I go. But based on where I want to eventually reach, and starting stats, I am going to start as a knight. Well, let's quickly talk about starting classes. So warrior, armor's heavy and honestly not that great, like poison defense-wise. However, longsword and heater shield are super good. 100% fizz block shield, only weighs 2 units, pretty solid stability. Very, very good shield. Longsword, one of my favorites in the series. Really good moveset. Nice horizontal sweeps on the R1. R2, nice stab. Very good moveset. My favorite type of moveset in the series. Also gets decent damage and scaling later on. So, this is actually the weapon I used to beat Dark Souls 1 the first time through. Next up, we have the Knight. 100% fizz block shield. I think this one's 3 pounds? Or not pounds, but units. It's not pounds, just to be clear. And the broadsword. Decent weapon. I'm not as big of a fan of the moveset, but we'll be using it early, so shouldn't mess me up too much or anything. Armor is super heavy. I believe you start at fat roll. So we're going to be running around the first part of the game with no armor. Well, with almost no armor. That's the one downside with this. I think Warrior starts at mid-roll, if I remember right. Wanderer, I don't have anything particular important to say about the Wanderer. Good class if you want to go Dex. Not much else I have to talk about with that. Thief. Dagger, decent against Asylum Demon because of bleed. Target shield, good for parrying. Other than that, I am personally not a huge fan of dagger weapons in these games, so that's one I would switch out really fast. Good dex on this character, though. Bandit, Battle Axe, very, very good weapon, commonly used in speedruns. Spider Shield. Oh man, that shield looks so good in the remaster. The lighting on it, so much better. Anyways, Spider Shield blocks poison. That's super good in some areas, and we will be using this in part of the playthrough. Hunter. Hunter, I believe, is used in a lot of speedruns, actually. Just because of their starting stats, and then, yeah, their starting stats, plus they start with a bow and some arrows. So that makes them fairly decent to start with. And like I said, I think they're used in a lot of speedruns. Short sword, same moveset as the long sword, just shorter, less damage. Pretty basic. Sorcerer, another dagger weapon. So, problem right off the bat for me personally. You start off with magic. So that's pretty decent if you want to go like sorcery route. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of magic in these games, so not something I am particularly fond of. Pyromancer. The Pyromancer is the only soul level 1 character. If you look, Cleric's level 2. Everyone else is like... The Wanderer comes in at 3. Everyone else is like 4 and higher. Sorcerer's also 3, interestingly. But Pyro starts with Pyromancy, which is really, really strong in Dark Souls 1. This is the character you have to use to do a soul level 1 run. Shield is utter garbage. You throw that in the trash, like, immediately. Axe is decent. But for an SL1 run, you would swap over to, like, I personally go Reinforced Club. Anyways. Cleric. You start off with decent amount of faith. Mace. Fairly decent weapon. Not as good as it is in, like, Dark Souls 3, though. I think the Dark Souls 3 mace is a lot better. Because in 3 it has the Perseverance weapon art, which makes it super strong. Next up we have the Deprived. Yep, garbage shield, club, okay weapon. Even stats across the board. So, really, really interesting one there. Yeah. In Dark Souls, like, 2 and 3, Deprived is super good. for like general PvP build that you're going to be respecing, since the stats start even, it allows you to do a lot more builds without too much fuss. Yeah, and one without respecing, not nearly as good for that. So anyways, like I said, we're going to go knight. Gifts. So, let's talk briefly about the gifts. Goddess Blessing. Fully restores HP, restores status effects. You only get one of them. One-time use consumable. Not a great starting gift. Black Firebomb. So, thrown explosive weapon. Decent fire damage on it. You can use this to make quick work of the Asylum Demon and get his hammer easily in New Game without needing to wait to New Game Plus or getting it later on or some such. Can you get it later on? I don't know if Shiva sells it or not. I know he has the Demon Great Axe. I don't know if he has the hammer though. Well, we'll see later on in the playthrough anyways. Yeah, limited consumables. I think you get 6. Does it say? No, it doesn't. Twin Humanity? I don't know how many of these you actually get, but that gives you 2 soft humanity when consumed. I think you only get 1. It also heals you fully, but once again, consumable starting gifts outside of maybe Black Firebomb is not great. Binoculars? There's a pair in Firelink. No reason to get those. Pendant. The pendant. The pendant. So, Miyazaki himself recommends use of the pendant. Yeah, what did he say? I think he said, like, Master Key or Pendant or something. No, it was Pendant or Nothing. That's what he said. The pendant has no effect, but fond memories comfort travelers. It has no effect. It does nothing. I think it was leading up to the release of Dark Souls 3, Miyazaki was asked about the pendant again, and he said it was a joke. So the pendant is literally a troll. It's to give you a starting item without having any effect on the game. So there's that. Master Key. Very, very good starting item. You can use it for quite a few sequence breaks. Really important for like speedruns. They almost always, well, I think pretty much every speedrun chooses that. The Thief class actually starts off with it automatically. Has Master Key. Now, there are no doors that can only be open with the Master Key. You can always find another key to open the doors. You are also able to buy a Master Key around halfway through the game, if I'm remembering correctly. But super good starting gift. In my opinion, that is a really good piece of game design. Opening up the already open world in this even more. Very cool. That being said, I personally do not recommend it for first playthroughs. On first playthroughs, I would, yeah, honestly, for a first playthrough, I would probably recommend the Old Witch's Ring, which we'll get to in just a moment. But anyways, that's the Master Key. The strongest of the starting gifts. Very, very good. Tiny Being's Ring. Now, this one has a little interesting piece to it. So you notice here, it says Special Tribal Ring. Grants small increased HP. That is a change that was made for the remaster. In the original version of this game, and it was never patched out, there was a translation error where it said what? Gradually restores HP or something? It was implying HP regen, which it didn't do. It just gives you a small increased HP. And it's only 5%. If it was higher, that ring would be worth it and honestly pretty good. As it stands, though, it being only 5%, garbage. And you can get one later in the game, so it's not like this is the only way to get it. Old Witch's Ring. Gift from a witch. Ancient ring with no obvious effect. So this ring has lore implications. This one allows you to talk to a character we're going to run into later in the game, the Fair Lady. Without it, you do not get any dialogue out of her. With this, you are able to understand her. So that's super cool. Now, you can obtain this ring later in the game. However, it is so late that you've already passed the Fair Lady, and if you're going to do something like save Solaire the normal way, you've already missed out on a ton of her dialogue. So for our purposes, I am actually going to pick the Old Witch's Ring, because, yeah, I always go Old Witch's Ring or Master Key. I do not need the Master Key, because the way this playthrough is going to end up going, we're going the standard path anyways. I don't need to sequence break for this playthrough. So, Old Witch's Ring it is. Now, physique changes the shape of your character, as you can see there. Personally, I normally leave it on average, because as you can see, it does affect the armor, and some of them makes the armor look really, really bad. So, I'm gonna leave that alone. Now, like I said, this character is going to be me. So, I did a few tests, and so, Star Noble, short hair is the closest to my hairstyle, black, customized face, hormones, it has a few effects, but if you click it a bit, darkens the skin. Okay, weird veins on the neck. That's odd. I don't remember that. Customize. Over to jaw. To beard. Alright, so one thing I really dislike about Dark Souls 1 is the character creator, which is hot garbage. Because it's one of the problems with it is these sliders affect each other for no reason. Alright. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty much the best I can get it. The Dark Souls 1 character creator is super bad, so that's gonna have to be me. God damn it. And I messed it up. It's the Dark Souls 1 character creator is so bad. And these sliders affect each other for no reason. That's one problem with it. The other one is lack of like hairstyles, lack of actual supported like facial hair. Skin color is a pain to change. The best way I found is minor adjustments to hormones for no particular reason. There we go. Alright. But yeah, the character creator's a mess. It's one of the things that I was hoping they were going to fix in the remaster, but was untouched. In general, I should be clear, I am super happy with this. Everything I've seen looks great. I just have a few minor gripes with it. Character creator's one of them. But at the same time, I get it, because redoing the character creator would have been a ton of work. That being said, one relatively easy thing for them to do with the character creator would have been more hairstyles. That would have been the easiest thing for them to change. Alright. Anyways, I think we've not spent enough time introducing this series. I haven't even started the game yet. Let's see. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about? No. Okay. Yes. 25 minutes in, and the opening cutscene starts.
The age of ancients. The
I'll shut up.
world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark.
Nice.
Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito,
Nice.
the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone scales. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers, and man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side.
That dark sign looked a lot better. Alright, so, lying on the ground there, was a guy wearing the fluted armor set from Demon Souls. Nice little reference.
Yes, indeed. The dark
Looks so much
sign
better.
brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world.
Thank you. So, right off the bat, you can see a bunch of the changes the remaster made. For starters, item pickups look a lot better. Fire effects, as we saw in the hallway over here, look a whole lot better. They actually look like fire. They reflect off the walls properly and actually properly light up the area. Now, one problem a lot of people had was the way the armor looked in the light, especially that shot of the night set. Now, all of the detail work on the armor is actually the same. The difference is the way the lighting's rendered. Unfortunately, in this one specific spot, it made it look worse, which is unfortunate. Because overall, the lighting and the new lighting looks a lot better. There's only a few spots where it doesn't look nearly as good. Alright. Anyways. So, right off the bat, pop that off. Pop off everything but the pants. So, right there, you can see like this corruption type thing eating away at our character. Pretty cool. But now we have fast roll. That's the reason I popped everything else off but the pants. Alright. Now, let's see. Few things with the opening cinematic. So, right off the bat, they didn't specifically tell you it, but you got some of the main goals of the game, which would be the Lords, plus Seath. Now, the Four Kings was not in there, but you did get the overall idea. Most of the main targets does a pretty good job establishing some of the base stuff for like the world that introduces the undead and the undead curse. And then, yeah, it has a lot of the major characters. Pretty good world building there. That looks great. Yeah, the clipping through stuff like that is not awesome. Now, let's see. It also does a pretty good job setting the tone for this Dungeon Cell Key. Probably should check out some item descriptions. Nothing particular there. Dark sign signifies an accursed undead. Those branded with it are reborn after death, but will one day lose their mind and go hollow. Death triggers the dark sign, which returns its bearer to the last bonfire rested at, but at the cost of all humanity and souls. So it's interesting to note that technically what happens when you die is the dark sign gets triggered. Interesting little detail there. That makes the death and respawn mechanics in-world occurrence. There is an actual explanation for why it happens. Doesn't do a great job explaining why enemies respawn where they're standing, but at least it explains the player. We also get our first reference to going hollow. So we'll be talking more about hollowing later on, and that's a huge discussion. So I'm not going to get into that now. So used to like Dark Souls 3 where you're able to switch. Key to the dungeon of the Undead Asylum to the north. So there's two ways to interpret that first line. The first one is they're just giving you the physical location of the Undead Asylum to the north. It could also mean that there are more Undead Asylums, which is probably the case. Mysterious Knight, without saying a word, shoved a corpse into the cell, and on his person was this key. Who was this knight, and what was his purpose? There may be no answers, but one must still forge ahead. So that was our good buddy that kicked down the body. Straight sword hilt. Nothing there. Not recommended for extensive use. Knight armor. Low-ranking knight. Alright. Decent protection. Old witch's ring. Old ring from an old witch. Engraved minutely with indecipherable script, but seemingly useless. We've already talked about its purpose. Alright. That seems good to me. Okay. So, right off the bat, a bunch of unopenable cells, and we get one of this game's first cool little design things. Or, not first, but one of the game's early design things. We have these optional messages on the ground. Camera controls. Just uninstructively telling you the camera controls. Attack! You still can't attack with messages up. That's annoying. Also, these look so much better. Before, it was just a static, really low-res image. Now, it's like this high-res, cool fire effect on it. Hello, friend. And right off the bat, you're able to see the Stray Demon. And this poor guy, he bashed right through the right into the fencing, not through it. Strong attack. That's almost stab-like. Weird. Dash. Oh man, this feels awesome. Not jumping, but jump. That is so much better. Target, lock, / release. So there you're able to see directional rolling. It's not omnidirectional, unfortunately. Wow, that's dark. Makes sense since there's no light sources, but damn. The lighting actually works now. Dark Souls is now dark. Rusted a Bonfire to recover HP. Enkindle. So some people do not like the effect of the bonfire now, because it just looks like straight up fire. As opposed to the other one where it didn't quite look like fire. It was weird. Now, I do not know what it looks like when kindled. Wait, no, I kindled in the network test. I really didn't just notice the bonfire. But anyway, so that is something we're going to be taking a look at later on. Now, couple of things about these messages. So these messages act as this game's tutorial, and they're 100% optional. You're able to totally skip right past them if you played the game before, which is generally what I do. Oh nice, the bonfire actually reflects off the ground. Awesome. But anyways, so that's one of the better ways to handle this sort of thing, because they're there for the players that need it. But for returning players, and like veterans, anyone replaying the game, bypass it. Doesn't slow you down at all. The only problem I would say with these, and we'll see that as we go further, there's not enough of them. They don't give you enough there. But moving on. Let's see. Alright. So, the purpose of the Undead Asylum is to trap the undead. And keep them here. To make them not a problem. And they've enlisted some interesting guards. We already saw the Stray Demon down below. And if you look through that little window above the door, a little hard to see there, but that is our friend, the Asylum Demon, hanging out on the roof. You can see him while resting at the bonfire. Really cool little touch. Now, originally, you get a better view of him from here. So, originally, the Taurus Demon was supposed to be hanging out. I can't remember if it was there or on that ledge. But the Taurus Demon was originally supposed to be the guy. But they switched it up to Asylum. Which makes sense. His moveset's a lot simpler. Of course, maybe their moveset was different originally, and they toned him down and added some more to Taurus Demon or something, but hard to say. They're both pretty early, so maybe no changes were made. But either way, I like Asylum Demon being the one here, because then right below you have Stray Demon. Nice little touch. Especially because you see Stray hanging out down there, then you get attacked by him, so your immediate reaction is, oh, that's the guy I saw. Never mind, it's a separate guy, which you can tell from here. Because you can hear Stray stomping around right now. A lot of cool little details. Alright. Now, let's go. So when you hit about here, it just says, get away. He drops down. And you just go through the gate, and that's the end of that encounter. You can fight and kill him there. It is quite difficult because you do like 2 damage. If you have the black fire bombs, you can just kill him there. No issue. Here we have another one of our little tutorial messages. Get your shield. Damn, that's dark. Oh, never mind. Dark Souls 1 lighting is a thing. Open menu, arms icon, change equipment. Alright. With left shield equipped, guard. Alright. Nice little tutorials there. Couple of arrows. They look pretty good. We got our broadsword. Man, we don't look great. Change weapons. Toggle items. Alright. We see our first soul absorption effect, which looks a whole lot better. And we reach our first fog wall, or white light, as it's called, in the menus. Ugh. Ugh. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyway, so this effect looks a lot better in this version. The only catch with it is it's a little flat. Overall, it looks better. But when you start moving the camera, it's a little too flat of effect. It's literally just a flat moving texture instead of like an actual fog type effect, which you saw around our character there after going through. Let's see. Back step and roll. So they teach you about all that right there. Unobtainable item. At current anyways. Now, can't see it that well here, so what I'm going to do is put the brightness through the roof for a second. And it's a little hard to see, but at the top of the stairs, you can see a round boulder. Now, the issue with that boulder is it will roll down the stairs at you. And then it breaks down the wall. But an important thing to note there is you can see it waiting for you at the top of the stairs. It's literally right up there, waiting to just nail you. But you can see it. It's not concealed just beyond the top of the stairs where you would have no idea. Now, one way to make that even better would have been to put a torch up there so it draws your eyes to it so you could see it. It would have been a good tutorial that, hey look, if you're paying attention, you can prevent getting hit by traps. So missed opportunity there. And there it is, just the iron ball.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I, we're both undead. Hear me out, will you?
Of course.
Regrettably, I have failed in my mission, but perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family, thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know, and I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estes flask, an undead favorite.
Estes.
Oh, and this.
Undead Asylum, Floor 2, East Key.
Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
So you are not able to...
Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you, and thank you.
You are able to talk to him here. Press to use item. Rest of Bonfire replenishes Estes. So, a few things should be noted about this. So this is the knight that dropped the body down to us. And you notice he's sitting right in this batch of sunlight. If you look up, there's a hole blown through the roof. So the chain of events that happened here was he threw the body down to our cell over that way. The Asylum Demon, who was also up on the roof, caught sight of him. They had some sort of battle or something right up here on the roof, and he got beat through the floor, slamming through the ceiling here and into this pile. Really cool little environmental storytelling details there. Very well done. Now, if we walk away... he dies. And we get souls. So, that, it's not quite the last we're going to see of him, but he has a lot of cut content established around him. In the game files, and I don't know if it's in the credits or not, I'll have to check that out, and I will get back on that later on. But he is referred to as Oscar of Astora. His original quest line involved... not how I wanted that to go, but it works. His original quest line ended up leading him out of the asylum, and he went with you on your adventure. So you would constantly run into him throughout the game. In a lot of ways, Solaire absorbed a lot of his role. Now, he could actually reach the Kiln of the First Flame, the very end of the game. And one of the things they had planned for that was whichever one of the two endings you chose, he chose the other one. And he fought you for it. So I don't know if there would have been a third/fourth ending where he defeats you and does his thing, or if it would have been you just keep fighting him until you win. That's something I don't know if they ever managed to figure out, if that's how it worked. Hello. Huh. I have no clue if that is. So I'm curious. I just noticed that crack in the wall. One of the cool things with Dark Souls 1 is the interconnectivity of the levels. Oh, is it just looking in? I think it's just right there. That's too bad. I thought maybe you had to look into the boss room from there. That would have been a cool little moment. Anyways. So there's going to be a lot of little things like that. I'm really going to be checking out. Alright, I did see a hole there. So that's that. Huh. It can almost see into the boss room. I'll have to check that out when we get closer. So the key we got unlocks that door. Key to the iron bars on the east side of the second floor of the North Undead Asylum. Once again, they're pushing the fact that it's the northern one. The Undead Asylum is a giant undead prison, segmented by countless iron bars. Even if undead were to escape from a cell, passage to the outside world would not easily be gained. Which we're going to see coming up. Alright, wield right weapon two-handed. Kick and jump. So 2 hands, 1 hand, kick, jump. I am surprised I got those on first input. Resting at bonfires revives enemies. Backstab didn't work there. So if you were playing something like... There we go. If you were playing something like the Hunter, Sorcerer, Pyro, you would pick up like your ranged weapon there. Now, let's see. Estes, we should read that. The undead treasure these dull green flasks, filled with Estes at Bonfire, fills HP. The Estes flasks are linked to the Fire Keepers. The Dark Tales also make reference. An emerald flask from the Keeper's soul. She lives to protect the flame, and dies to protect it further. Interesting little detail that they decided to put in the description of the Estes flask. While falling, R1 to get a plunging attack. Behind an enemy, critical hit. So, you're supposed to, like, backstab him. We've already been backstabbing. Parry. L2, repel an enemy attack. After parrying, R1 to riposte. Like that. Parrying in Dark Souls 1 is super strong. I forget what the actual multiplier is, but it's substantial. It's more than the backstab. It is locked. The first indication that you get to return here. Now, these messages are pretty much the last ones you get in the Asylum. They do not tell you about attuning spells or how any of that works. Obviously, they don't describe any equipment-based stuff, but by pressing, in this version, it's the left side of the touchpad, you're able to get descriptions, and they give you a breakdown of all the information. So we actually start in the Way of White Covenant, which is interesting. Alright. Overall level, total souls in possession, HP, number of attunement slots, stamina, equip load and resistance to bleeding, powerful weapons, boost weapon attack, advanced weapons, boost weapon attack. That's not a great description of it, like the difference between those two. Then again, that is a little tough, though. Resistance. Garbage. Well, we're going to be talking about this later on. Let's see. What else did I have to talk about? Alright. Let's see. Yeah. So, overall, the Undead Asylum does a pretty good job teaching you most of it. You get pretty much all of your basic controls from these optional messages. Very cool. They teach you about traps and the fact that you can see them coming. You get an explanation of how bonfires work, which is why there's 2. So that way, if you die, you can actually see the full effect of how they work. We get a little bit of world building from this place, which we've already talked about. Yeah, we get to fight multiple foes. We already got our first encounter with a ranged guy. They covered a lot of bases with the Asylum. Now then, let's traverse this white light, shall we? So, the Asylum Demon. Now, I am staying up here on purpose, because he does that. Haha! And yes, you can roll onto the little ledge for extra damage. I just want to take a hit. So we get the cool knockback animation. Ah! Stun. And dead. Alright! Yeah! So that was a pretty good version of that fight. I am very happy with how that went. We got Big Pilgrim's Key, Humanity, and we can still hear Stampy Stomps. Slight delay on getting the souls. So, that is probably the... Oh, he clipped that ledge. Oh, that's cool. That was probably one of the best ways to actually show all of that off. So if you hang out too long on that ledge, he smacks you down. I didn't actually know that until it happened to my sister. She has not played through the entire game. She did play through the Asylum and up into the Berg a bit. But, yeah, she got smacked down like that because she panicked on the ledge. She did die that attempt, but she did beat him on the next one, which is pretty good. But yeah, I like that I managed to show off that, and the fact that he can break the second ledge. Showing off that part was unintentional. Now then. Aha! So there are some statues up there. I do not have binoculars or anything to show them off. But there are statues. We'll check those out on the return trip, I guess. But up there. That's the hole in the wall I was looking through earlier. Right above my head in that window. Nice. Alright, let's check out what we got. Rare teeny black sprite found on corpses. Used to gain 1 humanity and restore a large amount of HP. By large amount, it means all of it. That is 100% heal. This black sprite is called humanity, but little is known about its true nature. If the soul is the source of life, then what distinguishes the humanity we hold within ourselves? So, in its current form, this is referred to as hard humanity. If you consume it, it goes into the counter on the top left, and then it's soft humanity. Now, let's see. We also got the Big Pilgrim's Key. Key to the inner door of the Undead Asylum's main hall. Big key belonging to a chosen undead pilgrim. But the chosen undead knows not what this pilgrimage has in store. Except we do. Obviously. Oh man, I never actually messed with the HUD scaling. That's one of the new things. So you can have a 1, and you're able to put it down to 0.5, which I think is a little, or, sorry, 0.65. I dislike that it scales the menus. That's unnecessary. .8 looks pretty good. I really wish it didn't scale the menu. 0.85, less compromise. Little bit smaller, less intrusive, but not so small that it messes with the menu too much. And I honestly wish I could shrink the bottom left a bit more. I'm fine with the health bar the way it is. I'm fine with the soul at the bottom right the way it is. But yeah, the items down there at the bottom. I wish I could rescale smaller. Good job! Go straight ahead. Alright. Now, let's see. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about? Alright. No, that's actually not a good discussion for this one. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's actually good for this first episode. So anyways, I know we didn't make it far, and we did a lot of talking and discussion in this one. And honestly, that's kind of what you can expect from this series. We're about an hour into this, and we haven't actually left the asylum yet. But no, that's what you can expect from this series. That's the type of depth I'm going to be going into. Discussing a lot of different game design points, and just a lot of stuff in general. So, if you're not in for a slow-paced series, You probably aren't watching this part of the video anyways, but... No, I'm super looking forward to this series and getting to some of the later parts. Because, man, I have stuff to talk about on some of these game design points. Anyways, so I'm going to wrap this first one up here. Next time, we're going to proceed to Firelink Shrine, where we're going to do a lot in Firelink Shrine. And we'll go from there. But anyways, I'm going to wrap this one up here. And I'll see all of you guys next time. Bye!